Did you know that if you ever turned into a werewolf, there is a code of conduct, a rules as written that you must follow? This is something that the werewolves refer to as the Litany. And I'm specifically referring to the werewolves when it comes to World of Darkness. The laws of the people, the tribes, the kinfolk are ancient. Their traditions can vary from tribe to tribe, and the litany within its full form, which is something that I haven't found written down yet, can take hours to read through. Let's talk about werewolves. Let's talk about the litany, the rules which they are supposed to follow. There are 13 laws when it comes to the litany of the werewolves. I'm going to discuss what these rules mean and then how they are actually interpreted by most of the tribes. When it comes to the litany, it can take a scholar nearly their entire lives to learn to master the litany as it's written in its entirety. Most scholars will take their entire lives to learn how to read, interpret, and decipher, truly understand the litany. Unfortunately, most werewolves are not scholars, so they will not dedicate their lives to learning the litany in its entirety. Most of them will learn it in 13 basic concepts. The 13 tenets when it comes to the Garou litany are as follows. Garou shall not mate with another Garou. This one will probably change for the W5 entry, but if you're playing a pre-W5 edition, this will count for you. Combat the Wyrm wherever it dwells and whenever it breeds. Respect the territory of another. Accept an honourable surrender. Submit to those of a higher station. Respect those of a lower station, as all are part of Gaia. The first share of the kill goes to the greatest in station. Do not, and I repeat, do not, under any circumstances, eat the flesh of humans. The veil shall not be lifted. Do not suffer your people to tend to your sickness. The leader of the pack can be challenged any time during peace. Follow up to that, you may not challenge the leader during wartime. And finally, take no action that would cause a Cairn to be harmed or violated. Litany rule number 1. Garou shall not mate with other Garou. It is said that werewolves should only pair with either humans or wolves. The reason for this is because when werewolves bump uglies, they tend to make metis. They almost always make metis when this happens. The law of the litany forbids the creation of metis because they generally come with some sort of deformity, which is seen as dishonorable or heretical, worm-like in the eyes of many in the Garou. There is also sometimes insanity that tends to come with this, so creating not crazy werewolves is generally thought of as a good thing. However, as you may or may not be aware of, this has been the source of many a conflict throughout Garou history. The reality of the law is this. Yeah, you're not supposed to create a metis, but more and more are being born each year. And in the 4th edition, the 20th anniversary edition, and even a little bit before that, non-Garou pairings were even starting to create metis. And it should also be said that love is a very difficult thing to control. In our modern day society, arranged marriages just aren't really common anymore, so you love who you love, and that sometimes makes a metis. Before we continue on, if you are enjoying the video, then I would encourage you to please hit that like button, and if you want to see more Werewolf World of Darkness content from myself, then please hit subscribe with the bell notification. I would love to have you join me at the table. Litany rule number 2. Combat the Wyrm wherever it dwells, whenever it breeds. If you're unfamiliar, the Wyrm to a werewolf is basically the worst thing ever. If you don't know what the Wyrm is, then you need to watch this after this video. The Wyrm is basically the source of all evil on Gaia. Gaia created the werewolves to protect her realm, her planet. It's also during combat that werewolves generally earn the most respect. It's the quickest way to get popular as a werewolf. Any shirking of these duties just further brings on the apocalypse. It draws ever closer, so if you're not fighting the Wyrm, you're not doing anything to prevent the end of the world. There is an unfortunate reality when it comes to this law and the way that the Garou Nation react as a whole. Most believe that we are currently living in the final days. This is one of the few things that all the elders can actually agree on, which is a big deal in the werewolf community. However, most are too busy squabbling over politics, territory, the old ways, the new ways. They can't push past their differences. They can't set aside their personal ambitions to actually stop the apocalypse. Most elders also don't believe that the apocalypse could actually be stopped. The third tenet is respect the territory of another. The law states that if you are approaching the territory of another werewolf, another tribe, you must announce yourself first. You can't just show up unannounced. That's bad form. The traditional form of requesting permission to join is a howl, and the information that's contained within this howl asks if you can approach their territory. It says your name, your pack name, your sept, tribe, as well as totem. The Silver Fangs and the Shadow Lords, because they are difficult, they also insist on reciting the family lineage as well. A Garou is also called to mark their territory, and this is done through, you guessed it, the usual dog method: lift your leg and pee. The reality of this law, however, is that human society has greatly expanded from when this was originally conceived. Urban sprawl is everywhere. When it comes to the portion of marking your territory, you can't just go around peeing on things in the middle of the city. Well, unless you live in Florida. Also, in urban centers, just howling to announce your presence is not practical anymore. This does not mean that you can still just walk into another werewolf's territory. If you're dealing with someone like the Glasswalkers, they want a phone call, they want an email first. It's only with the Garou who live in the forest that you're going to see this tradition of an introductory howl happen. Number 4, accept an honorable surrender. Werewolves of the Garou Nation, they are a warrior people through any tribe. They have a very long history of duels and killing each other. Yes, sure, maybe these duels were to protect one's honor, or maybe the werewolf just died honorably, but even if it was an honorable death, you're still dead. Duels within the Garou society are not uncommon, but they're not as deadly as they used to be. If a Garou is submitting, they are tapping out, basically, of their fight. They will do so by exposing their neck. This does not mean that the other Garou is supposed to go in for the kill shot. They should accept this surrender. There should also be no shame for the loser in surrendering the fight, and the victor should be receiving praise for being so merciful by not killing their lesser. The reality of this law is also much more difficult. Things happen when you fight. You can't always just make a fight clean, nice. Things happen, accidents happen. And some, like the Shadow Lords, they like to walk the fine line in this. Sometimes the Shadow Lords have even been known to kill their opponent knowing that they were surrendering and claiming that it was an accident in the heat of the moment. This law of accepting a surrender goes beyond just dueling werewolves of the Garou Nation. This also applies to anyone who the Garou are fighting against. If the Garou, whoever they are fighting, give an honorable surrender, they are called to honor this agreement. The 5th rule within the litany: submit to those who have higher station than you. Wolves have a hierarchical society. Werewolves are no different. However, when it comes to an individual werewolf, their pack, their sept, may not actually be their blood family. Renown and rank, these are all very important to the hierarchy of the Garou society. A werewolf is always called to honor a reasonable request from their superiors. The reality of this law is unfortunate again. The crumbling of Garou society has really weakened the bonds between the old and the young. Most of the elders haven't really adjusted or adapted to the new society that is popped up around them. The young and the new Garou that are coming up in this brand new society don't understand or respect the old ways. Most Garou will still honor their elders, at least face to face, but like that boss you have that you hate, you don't really tell them to their face that you hate them. At least most people don't generally. Werewolf personalities are no different. Some people just don't get along with their superiors. This is normal. Then you also have those who are in leadership who don't deserve the position of leadership, but they still hold rank. They still have authority. And when it comes to this type, they generally will abuse their power. Number 6, the first share of the kill goes to the greatest in station. This was known as the kill clause, and it mostly applied to the days back when hunting and gathering was a thing. The strongest needed to keep up their strength, so they took what would give them their strength back, or at least keep it up. In theory, the most renowned Garou deserves the spoils of war, the greatest treasures from their haul, their hunt, war, whatever. Again, the Silver Fangs and the Shadow Lords will demand the highest valued items come to them first. Both these tribes see it as their dues. Again, there is the way that it's written, and then there's the reality of what actually happens. Modern concepts of egalitarianism, democratic philosophy, they tend to get in the way of, I'm the strongest, give me what's mine. Generally, this law is only invoked by the strongest Garou, who are going to take what they want for their own benefit anyways, or the most trusted Garou, and everyone knows that whatever decision they're making is for the betterment of everyone. Do not eat the flesh of humans, no matter how delicious, tasty num-nums it is. As you might guess, this law arose out of need, not practicality. As you might have guessed, this law arose out of a need, not because it was just something that needed to be put down into a book. Sometime after the Concord, stargazers started to notice that many werewolves were starting to devour the flesh of humans. They were devouring humans, and they enjoyed it just a bit too much. The stargazers also found that of these werewolves who were devouring the flesh of humans, they were more susceptible to the corruption of the Wyrm. And some of these werewolves turned into just horrible monsters and abominations. In the 21st century, this law is more of a spiritual matter. Again, the reality of this is that most Garou just don't eat flesh. For the ones that do, they usually act alone. They don't have a support system around them to calm them down. They've gone into some kind of a frenzy, because even when you're in a frenzy, you still have a hunger inside of you. And sometimes your pack, your friends, they can pull you back from that ledge. If you're acting alone, you don't have that, so you eat people. Now, there are rumors that some within the Red Talons, the Bone Gnars, and even the Silent Striders have secret groups that dine on the flesh of humans. Number 8, respect those who are beneath you. This one's pretty simple. Respect those, and that respect will get you pretty far in life. Chivalrous behavior is a good way to gain renown as a member of the Garou Nation. The reality of this is also a little bit more nuanced and not so black and white as this law tries to make it. Respect is different for everyone, and showing that respect, again, is different across all tribes. Some tribes enforce this strictly, some tribes they don't enforce it almost at all. And if you were to ask the Bone Gnars about respect, they would tell you they don't get any, and then they'd probably punch you. Number 9. The veil shall not be lifted. This is the secret that keeps the Garou safe and out of the public eye, which they really don't want to be in. Werewolves, when acting with humans, must be discreet, which is a challenge for the Garou. Although werewolves are very powerful, if the veil was lifted, that's when the Pentex hunting parties tend to get a little bit shooty. Werewolves are very powerful. Human weapons are also very powerful, and specifically with Pentex, designed for killing werewolves and other supernatural creatures. This will generally mean no Krynos werewolves running through the streets. Again, unless you're in Florida. Number 10. Do not suffer thy people to tend thy sickness. Basically, this means don't be a burden on anybody else when you get sick or hurt. Long ago, this made sense because if you delayed your entire group, whether that was werewolves or not, it could spell doom, disaster for everyone. In the modern day, this doesn't really work very well, since modern medicine has come so far, and it's very easy to get treatment for things that would have killed you 30, 50, even 100 years ago. The tribe, Children of Gaia, they also despise this law, being that they are quite compassionate and nurturing by nature. This one is a law, but only the most hardline Garou are ever going to enforce this. Number 11. The leader may be challenged anytime during peacetime. Pack mentality when it comes to the Garou is very strong, but that does not mean that you need to suffer a weak leader. If no immediate threat is nearby, anyone who feels that they can take the position of alpha within their pack, their sept, their Cairn, can challenge the leader for the position. Sometimes this is a duel, sometimes this is a test of wits. Any challenge is always formal and visible to either the pack, the sept, whatever group that it relates to. The reality of this law, again, is that most Garou are not going to challenge the leader in a time of peace, and unfortunately, many of those leaders are too strong to be dethroned. If there's a mutiny for a particularly bad leader, all of the pack, all of the Cairn, all of the sept will challenge the leader one by one until he's worn down and somebody wins. This event is pretty rare. Some leaders who are very bad at this, or just bad people in general, will keep their Cairn, their pack, in a constant state of war so that no one can challenge them because it's never peacetime. The flip side of this law is 12, and that is never challenge your leaders during wartime. Every military relies on a clear chain of command. The Garou are no different. Once a fight, a war has broken out, the alpha's word is law. Anyone within the pack or the sept who disobeys can be kicked out, and that's not good for werewolves to be alone. Sometimes those who have gone against the alpha's wishes have a chance to defend themselves, but this isn't super common. If the werewolf can prove that they were under some magical control or worm influence and they were not being themselves, then they will let this slide. Again, that's a difficult thing to prove. The basic reality of this law is that most Garou will not challenge their leader during wartime ever, because there needs to be someone in charge, and infighting just tends to make everything worse. The only exception to this being that the leader is extremely incompetent in making decisions that will actively harm everyone around them. And this will lead us into tenet number 13, which is take no action that would harm a Cairn. This is a universally accepted law among all Garou, all tribes. Cairns are places of magic. They are sacred and spiritually powerful. If any of these places were to fall to corruption, to be destroyed, then part of the earth, part of Gaia, is also destroyed. Any werewolf who leads an enemy to a secret or unknown Cairn will be punished severely, sometimes even death, even if they didn't do it on purpose. There are definitely a lot of things that you need to know if you plan on being a werewolf, if you find out that you actually are a werewolf. If you find yourself new to the World of Darkness setting or unfamiliar with the terminology of werewolves, then I suggest you watch this video here. Thank you to all of my patrons for supporting me and the channel. All of your support, your ongoing support, means the absolute world to me. My name's Nathaniel. Thanks for stopping by, everyone.